Tell me about the pregnancy. How did you guys find out, and what did they say about that?
Well, that she just found out she was pregnant.
Yes.
Oh, she called us and told us
Okay.
that she was pregnant again. And it's something that, with her health, she had problems with Bella, she had problems with Celeste, and we were worried about her health.
Hmm.
Now, I understand you want to try to have a boy, but we're worried about your health before you have another baby. And they were trying, from what we were told, they were trying to have another baby. And then when she was pregnant, she had, she every time she was pregnant, she did something big for Chris. This surprise, go upstairs and read this, and she had shirts made for everybody. She said, we're expecting again or something like that. It said, and he came walking in the house because she had on video. She's got to have 6,000 videos and pictures on her phone. And you see him come in. He was all excited and everything else, and I don't know. And then that Monday when she came back, she told Chris had told us that she had a sealed letter. So he told her, I didn't. This was enough because we kept asking Shannon, "What is it? What is it?" "I don't know yet, Dad. I don't know yet." And we know she went to the doctor before she left. She said, I don't know. I don't know." And then he said that she had a sealed envelope or a sealed letter from the doctor's office telling them what the sex was of the baby. So I never got to see that from her.
Who prompted the having a third child? Was that her idea, or was he pushing for it? Do you know?
They were trying to have a boy. He wanted to have a boy.
Okay.
Even though Celeste was a tomboy.
Yeah.
She was a...
When was the last time you talked to Shannon?
Before she left. I can look at my phone and tell you exactly.
Before she left for Arizona? Okay.
And then I just texted her, told her have a safe trip back, and
how often would you talk to her?
Every day.
Every day?
Every day we'd FaceTime. And didn't miss a day. If I missed a day, I was going crazy without seeing them kids.
But that's when she was at home? Is that what you said?
I FaceTimed them even with Chris.
The first letter surfaced quietly, slipped under a journalist's office door on a cold January morning in 2025. No return address, no fingerprints. Just a weathered beige envelope, edges soft from travel. The only clue was a faint, shaky handwriting on the front. For the truth, before it dies. Inside was a photocopy of a letter written by Chris Watts. The date shocked everyone, December 14th, 2024, only weeks earlier. The letter wasn't long, but its tone was unlike anything he had ever written before. No excuses, no rehearsed remorse, no attempts to rewrite history. Instead, the words carried a trembling urgency, as though he had finally reached a breaking point, one that even prison couldn't contain. He wrote about dreams that were getting too vivid, as if someone, or something, was reminding him of what he still hadn't confessed. He mentioned a secret he buried the same night he buried his family. A secret that, according to him, the world wasn't ready to hear. What chilled investigators wasn't the confession itself, because the letter didn't name the secret. It was the warning that came after. Chris wrote that someone on the outside still held a piece of the truth. Someone he once trusted. Someone who had every reason to keep silent. And then came the final line. If this reaches you, it's because they're getting nervous. Authorities scrambled. Who was they? What truth was he hinting at? Had someone else been involved, or was this another manipulation from a man who had already destroyed so many lives? Whatever the answer, one thing became clear. This wasn't just another prison letter. It was the beginning of something bigger, something Chris Watts never intended the world to see. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Crime for more deep investigation into this disturbing case. 2 days after the first letter leaked, a second envelope arrived, this time slid under the door of a small independent journalist who had quietly followed the case for years. No stamp, no return address, no fingerprints. Inside was a single sheet of prison-grade paper, but the handwriting was unmistakable. Sharp strokes, tight spacing. The same anxious pressure from a man who never learned to breathe after crossing the line he could never uncross. At the top of the page, Chris had written, "They told me never to write this." The journalist froze. Every alarm bell rang at once. Who was they? Guards, investigators, family, prison clergy. The rest of the letter was darker, far darker than the first leak. Chris described nights where he claimed he wasn't alone in his cell, even though he was physically isolated. He wrote about shadows, voices, the sound of footsteps pacing in the concrete hallway when no one was assigned to night rounds. But the most disturbing line read, "I didn't act alone in my mind. Something else was there. Something that knew what I would become long before I did." The journalist reread the sentence again and again. Was this a confession? A metaphor? A manipulation tactic? Chris continued, "If these pages ever make it out, people will know the truth I tried to bury. The truth the DA didn't want complicating the narrative. He didn't explain what that truth was. He didn't name anyone. But he hinted, over and over, at a secret agreement, a conversation not included in public transcripts, and a detail from the oil site that he claimed was edited out of the final report. Then came the final line. If they find out I wrote this, I won't survive it." The journalist folded the letter slowly and locked every door in the house. In this fictional retelling, the third leaked letter was the one investigators never expected to find. It wasn't addressed to his family, the investigators, or even Nickel Kessinger. It was written to someone Chris Watts had never met, a stranger whose name appeared only once in the case files. Her name was Emily R., a woman who wrote him a single letter in 2019, telling him she hoped he found redemption someday. She never sent a second message. She never visited. She never tried to build a relationship. But for some reason, Chris kept her letter. And in this hidden notebook, he wrote back. The letter began strangely. "Emily, you said you sensed something that night. I don't know how you could have, but you were right. There was someone else there. Not physically, but in my head. A voice." Investigators paused. This wasn't the Chris they encountered in interviews. The next paragraphs were darker. "The voice told me it was too late to turn around. It told me if I confessed, I'd lose everything. I listened. And now the truth is, tangled in lies I can't undo." What truth? What lies? The letter didn't specify, but it hinted at moments of that night he'd never described. Then the most disturbing line appeared. If I had told them what really happened in the basement, they would have reopened the case. And they still might. The basement. The one area he barely spoke about. The one part of the timeline that never made sense. As investigators read the final paragraph, chills ran down their spines. If they ever find this letter, they'll know I wasn't alone. Not the way they think. And he had signed it. CW. 2 weeks after the first leaked letters surfaced, Dodge Correctional found itself buzzing with a new rumor, one that even the guards refused to confirm or deny. Inmates whispered about a man who had arrived late one night, escorted by 2 supervisors and someone who didn't look like prison staff at all. Tall, suited, carrying a thin black case. Chris noticed him first during meal rotation. The man didn't speak, didn't blink, didn't even look at the food line. He just stood there, watching Chris. The moment their eyes met, Chris stiffened. Later, during evening count, he wouldn't stop pacing. "They found something," he muttered to himself. "Something I thought was gone." What exactly had been found? That answer came hours later when a guard slipped an envelope under Chris's cell door. No stamps, no markings. Just his name and handwriting he recognized instantly. His own. It was one of the letters he had written years earlier, long before investigators had seized his correspondence for screening. Except this one was different. Inside was a single sentence underlined twice. "You left this part out." Beneath it was a photograph. grainy black and white, of the oil site, taken before police ever arrived there in 2018. But the disturbing detail wasn't the image itself. It was the blurred figure standing beside one of the tanks. A figure that looked almost exactly like Chris, wearing clothing he swore he never owned. Shaking, he whispered into the empty cell, "Who took this? Why now?" Down the corridor, the same suited man paused outside his door, listening. Chris backed away from the bars. For the first time since his confession, he wasn't afraid of the truth coming out. He was afraid of who was bringing it. If you're drawn into this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more chilling deep dives and updates. 2 weeks after the letters leaked, Dodge Correctional Institution went on an unexpected and unusual lockdown. Inmates were ordered back into their cells, guards sprinted across the tiers, and a heavy silence, one Chris had learned to fear, fell over the unit. At first, Chris assumed someone had been caught with contraband or a fight had broken out, but then a guard stopped outside his cell door, stared at him a moment too long, and muttered under his breath, "You have a visitor. One we weren't told to expect." Chris froze. His approved visitor list hadn't changed in years. No friends, no family, only an occasional pastor, and even those visits had grown rare. So who could be here? When they led him to the visitation room, his hands began to shake. Not from fear, but from something worse. Recognition. Sitting behind the thick glass was a woman he had hoped to never see again. She didn't give her name to the guards. She didn't need to. Her eyes said everything. The same sharp stare, the same cold curiosity, the same unsettling calmness. As soon as he sat down, she lifted the phone. "You thought I disappeared," she whispered. "You thought burying the truth in your letters would bury me too." Chris's breath hitched. This wasn't supposed to happen. Not in 2025. Not after she had vanished from the investigation, from media, from everything. But now she was back. And she knew about the letters. "Why did you come here?" Chris finally choked out. She leaned closer, lips curling into a controlled smirk he remembered all too well. "Because your letters aren't the only thing leaking." Chris felt the blood drain from his face. Something far bigger was about to explode. The sixth leaked letter was different from the rest. The handwriting was shaky, the ink pressed so hard into the paper that the words carved grooves into the surface. It was dated February 2025, written at 3:14 a.m., a time when most inmates slept, but Chris Watts rarely did. "There is something I never told anyone," the letter began. Detectives reviewing the leak later said the opening sentence felt like a punch to the gut, and it only grew darker. Chris described waking up night after night to the sound of footsteps, even though there were none. He claimed he felt pressure on his chest, like someone sitting on him. He told the recipient that he knew it wasn't real, but he also admitted he wasn't entirely sure anymore.
So if she wasn't there, I still FaceTimed.
Okay.
Yeah, I FaceTimed almost every night unless I got home late from work and the babies were sleeping.
Okay. But you didn't talk to Shannon when she was on trips, generally?
Some we just text.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, I never really bothered her when they were out. I mean, she'd take pictures of everybody and she'd be on, live and do all that. I usually never bothered her when she was there. I text her and how you doing? Is everything all right?
Okay. But you'd FaceTime every day to talk to the kids?
I would FaceTime every day to talk to the kids.
Okay. Even if she wasn't there?
Even if she wasn't there.
Gotcha.
Like I said, that Sunday I did call. We did FaceTime them and they were, I asked Chris how everything going good. Bella said something about mommy coming home. I said, yeah, she's not coming home till midnight and she'll be home tomorrow. And
do you remember what time on Sunday you FaceTimed?
They were eating dinner, so it had to be about 7 o'clock our time.
7 o'clock?
North Carolina time. Because they usually eat around 5 o'clock, and Shannon is kids eat at this time. even when they came out North Carolina, I said, Shannon, you got to give them a little bit of break because it's different time now.
Right.
So now you're giving them food at 3 o'clock. And they're used to being eating at 5 o'clock, so you got to give them a little bit of break. So yeah, she was. I mean, kids took naps at 12 o'clock every day. I mean, she had them on a great schedule. They did it.
And nothing out of the ordinary on the FaceTime
No,
on Sunday.
it didn't. Chris is Chris. I mean, did nothing. Never, nothing ever gave me any kind of a thing that there was a problem with at that house.
What did you think when you first heard that people couldn't get a hold of Shannon?
Well, when Sandy said she couldn't get a hold of Shannon, it didn't. I mean, it's because I know sometimes Shannon's like, "Mom, just leave me alone." She doesn't do it. But sometimes if Sandy couldn't get a hold of her, she'd say, "Can you text her and find out what's going on?" Shannon would answer pretty much me all the time. So she never called me. When I found out she was missing, and then before I even knew about the truck, and they said her phone was in there, I told them right away there's something wrong. And then she said the front door had the security lock on it because I put one on there when I was out there. Something similar to these, we put the latch on so the girls open the door, they can't get out. And I put one on there, and I put one on the garage door.
Did they usually leave those engaged or?
I had that question already. Shannon, if she got home late like that, she may do it. Shannon did it more than Chris would do it, just because the girls would open the door. Especially if they seen him pull up, they'd open the door and they'd run out, and they wouldn't run out like kids do.
Right.
They don't know a street, So yeah, if Shannon did come home late that night, she probably did lock that and put that across.
Okay.
And when they told me that was on, the back door was locked from the inside, the only way she got out would be the garage. They're like, well, she could have. No, my daughter's not climbing over no fence with no kids. My daughter is like my wife. I'd be arrested and he'd be arrested before she left that house. So, I mean, that's just the way they are. They're Italian. So yeah, when they told me that, I understand what they had to do. They had to go in their steps and do all that. But when I lived out here for so long, I mean, I know everybody's routine here, and she doesn't do it. And then they're saying, well, maybe somebody came in the garage and this and that. She doesn't open that garage door until the kids are in the car, because they'll take off.
Right.
So that door never gets opened. I was like, well, anybody was in that garage, they would have had to get her from the inside, and they still would have had to go outside, and Nate's camera would have caught them then. And that's what really, I gave these cops some kinds of earfuls. So sometimes it wasn't the pleasant, but they listened to me. And I was there. I know it. And that first day when they said she was missing, I just knew something was wrong, because she doesn't do it. And then to find out the EpiPen was there, no.
Yeah.
That was her life right there.
But you didn't immediately think Chris had done something to her? Is that what you thought?
But then came the line investigators flagged immediately. I didn't act alone in the planning. I acted alone in the act. That's the truth no one wants to understand. He didn't name anyone. He didn't provide details. He didn't clarify whether planning meant conversations, fantasies, arguments, or something else. The letter left the interpretation wide open. And that vagueness was exactly what made it explosive. Experts who analyzed the content for the 2025 digital trial called it classic manipulation language, designed to plant doubt, not provide truth, a way to make himself relevant again, a way to create chaos from a prison cell. But the last paragraph was the one that stunned even seasoned investigators. I never buried the worst secret. I wrote it down. It's hidden somewhere, they'll eventually find it. And when they do, you'll understand why I couldn't tell the full truth before. A buried confession. A planned reveal. A mystery intentionally created. And all of it written by a man known for lies. Like Chris said himself, truth is a weapon in the wrong hands. The morning the prison doors opened for unlisted visitation, Chris felt it before he saw anything. an unease so sharp it almost felt like a memory creeping up his spine. For years, his visitors had been predictable: a pastor, a random true crime author seeking fame, or no one at all. But today, the guard's expression was different. Cautious, almost afraid. When Chris entered the small visitation room, he froze. A woman sat with her back to him. Her posture was stiff, her hands gripping a folder tightly. When she turned around, Chris stumbled back. It wasn't someone he recognized, yet she looked at him as though she'd known him for decades. "Sit down, Chris," she said softly. "We need to talk about the letters." His heart hammered. "Who are you?" "My name doesn't matter," she replied. "What matters is that someone very close to you trusted me before she died." His mouth went dry. "Shanann?" he whispered. The woman nodded, not confirming, not denying, but letting the implication hang like a blade. She slid the folder toward him. Inside were photocopies, not the letters he wrote, but the responses. Pages of handwriting he had never seen before. Yet he recognized the voice instantly. The voice he tried to bury. Each page was written as if Shanann were speaking back to him, questioning him, cornering him, repeating details he swore no one else knew. "These letters," the woman said, "were not written by Shanann. They were written by someone investigating what really happened at the oil site, someone who believes you didn't tell the full truth." Chris felt the room tilt. "You're here to get a confession," he muttered. "No," she whispered. "I'm here because the real truth is already coming out, and you're running out of time." The guard banged the door. Time was up. As Chris was escorted away, the woman called after him. "Chapter 8 is already written, Chris, whether you cooperate or not." The final leaked letter, dated January 3rd, 2025, was the one investigators said should never have existed. It wasn't written like the others. No rambling apologies. No attempts to rewrite history. No religious overtones. This letter sounded cold, calculated, almost relieved. In it, Chris Watts wrote about a conversation he claimed happened the night before his arrest, a conversation detectives never knew about. He described a phone call with someone he referred to only as K. Not Nickel Kessinger. Not a family member. Someone else. Someone he wrote had information no one would believe. The letter said, "Kay told me something that night. Something that made me think I had no choice but to keep lying. They said people would come after me if I opened my mouth. That's why I stuck to the story. That's why I stayed quiet." Investigators who reviewed the leak were stunned. For 7 years, Chris Watts had claimed he acted alone. For 7 years, he insisted nobody helped, nobody knew, and nobody pressured him. But this letter introduced a terrifying possibility. Was someone else involved? Or was Chris trying to manipulate the narrative once again? The prison chaplain who read the letter said Chris seemed lighter afterward, like confessing the existence of Kay freed him from a burden he'd carried in silence. Yet experts believe the opposite. They think Chris fabricated Kay to plant doubt, stir chaos, and pull attention back to himself. One final manipulation from a man who built his life on lies. The letter ends with a sentence that investigators said sent chills through the room. The truth was never buried. It was just waiting. Waiting for whom? Waiting for what? No one knows. But after the 2025 leaks, one thing is certain. Chris Watts may be locked away, but his secrets are still alive. If you want more chapters, more cases, or a sequel, just tell me. And don't forget, like and subscribe for more deep dive stories just like this.
You remember us?
Yes. Yes.
See?
Okay. I see it. I just put it a moment there.
You look like different.
They, get a haircut every 2 months, so it's told them just to buzz pretty much everything off and all that, so.
I'm trying to think, did you have a
Yes,
tea last time? Okay.
they have like a little single blade razor, so I just kind of, you don't like go fast as double, you just kind of,
Just do the best you can, huh?
you just gotta go with that.
Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm okay, how about you guys?
Good.
I did not expect to see this. That's for sure.
Surprised.
Yes.
Well, let me put some fears aside. We're not here for what you might think we might be here for.
Well, they didn't know what that's a computer room. I was like, I didn't know how to computer room.
Without computers.
Yeah. Exactly.
So you remember, I talked to you, Tammy talked to you, Dave talked to you. We're all from Colorado. And so the last time we talked to you was a different situation, right? Our investigation was open and your case was open. That's completely different now. So your case is completely closed. Nothing about what we're going to talk about today has anything to do with an open investigation. So we're not here to get more charges on you or get any statements from you that are going to jam you up anymore, right? That's all done. So all of our cases are closed and the court case is closed. So there's nothing that we're going to talk about today that's going to get you in any type of trouble at all. And so I wanted to make sure you knew that's not why we're here.
Okay.
But why we are here. So three of us work from three different agencies, right? Quite a bit different. CBI, FBI, and Frederick PD, different goals. And the things that happened with you kind of all brought us together. And as the months have passed on since everything happened, we just keep in touch with each other and we keep talking to each other. And we've all separately kind of said, did Chris seem unique to you? And me and Tammy have talked about this, Dave and I have talked about this. Did Chris's situation seem different to you? And we keep having that conversation. We can't quite put our finger on it, right? We think that your life leading up to all of the things that happened were very interesting to us. And for me personally, I don't know if you remember, but one of the last things you told me was, hey, Graham, I'm sorry that I started lying to you. And that stuck with me for the last couple months. It's ingrained in my head, right? I've never, ever worked a case like this where someone told me that, ever. And so as I walked away, I thought, Chris is different. Chris is a little bit unique in that regard. So in talking with Tammy and talking with Dave, I said, what did you feel like when it all went down? When we were there, we were talking to you guys, and we all kind of, in our own different way and in our own different wording, said it all happened a bit too quick for us, right? So when we saw you last, we were talking about your family, about your parents, about everyone. And then the next thing you know, for me and Tammy and for Dave, all of a sudden some patrol officers came in and arrested you. And that was far quicker than we had hoped it would happen. And you understand why that happened, and we understand why that happened. But it left us with 1,000 questions that we didn't get to ask. And then even more importantly, I think it probably left you with 1,000 things that you didn't get to talk about with us. I don't know if you feel that way or not, but, and so that's why we're here today. We wanted to kind of talk to you a little bit more about everything, I think there's a lot of things that you didn't get to talk about. And so, that's why we're here. And it sticks with me that to this day, there's not one person that's told me, I saw it coming. I knew Chris was like that. I knew it. Not one person. So it's interesting to me, right? No, not one. So we want to talk a little bit about that. Some of the people that we work with, your family, Shanann's family, have said, if you get to talk to Chris, would you tell him something for me? So we have that to talk about today, and it's good. I think you'll like it. I think it will give you some closure. And so really that's why we're here. Are you available to talk to us?
Definitely.
Okay. All right. So off the bat, if you have any questions, just tell us.
Okay.
If there's something that you don't want to talk about, that's okay. We might press you a little bit. Okay, we might say, well, do you mind if we just maybe then ask one question? If something makes you uncomfortable, just tell us. If we need to take any bathroom breaks, we can take bathroom breaks. For anything like that. And we'll take bathroom breaks and water breaks ourselves too. So then, is there anything about your schedule today that makes it that you can't talk to us?
No, there was like a pass for this and the AM and the PM.
Okay.
They reserved the room the whole day, just in case.
That's just what they do.
Okay, I didn't know if that was like two separate things or something.
Okay.
I think you have to go back for lunch to get counted for or something.
Oh.
Accounted for.
Yeah, I think
11:30.
Lunch is like 11, but they count like 1:15. So.
Okay. So in general, how is it here?
It's a lot different in Colorado.
Is it?
It's
Good or bad?
it's better, I think, because I mean, it's here. I'm actually around other people. I mean, in Colorado, it was just like I was segregated, and it was like pounding on the walls all night, screaming, and just just telling me
From other people?
Oh,
Really?
they're just telling me like how I should kill myself and like what they're gonna do to me and just like all that kind of stuff. So,
Oh.
it was today. This is a lot different because I mean, people here don't seem to. It's not like they don't care, but it's just kind of like they don't like judge